Now, if you have a thyroid problem, this video is going to be very, very important to you. The first thing you need to know is that most thyroid conditions, both hyper and hypo, involve autoimmune thyroid disease. In other words, 90% of hypothyroid conditions are an autoimmune condition called Hashimoto's. And 70% of the hyperthyroid conditions are Graves' disease, which is another autoimmune disease. And so now let's talk about the relationship between gluten and the thyroid, because gluten creates celiac, which is an inflammatory condition which destroys the little villi, the little roots of the intestine, which then allow the proteins to invade the lymphatic system and the immune system. And now you have these antibodies that attack this protein. And so gluten is a protein. It's the protein of certain grains, especially wheat, rye, barley, and others. But gluten in the digestive system turns into gliadin. And the protein gliadin looks very, very similar, if not certain parts of it identical, to something in your thyroid, which is an enzyme called transglutaminase. So if you have antibodies that are attacking this protein in wheat, anytime you consume grains, these antibodies are going to not just attack that protein, it's going to attack the thyroid as well, simply because of this molecular mimicry situation. And there's a lot of other autoimmune conditions that have a similar type principle, where you have this mimicry of either a virus or a food that mimics a body tissue. But in the case of the thyroid, whether you have a hyper or hypo, you definitely need to remove gluten from the diet 100%. Because every time you consume it, your body's going to look at that as a foreign invader, and it's going to actually attack that with its antibodies, as well as certain parts of your thyroid, creating this inflammatory state. All right, there are 5 things that I'm going to recommend. Number 1, you have to be completely gluten-free. Number 2, you want to get on keto, a healthy version of keto, and intermittent fasting. Why? Because it's going to lower your inflammation. Next thing you want to take is selenium. Selenium is essential for autoimmune conditions, especially with the thyroid, whether you have a hyper or a hypothyroid condition. The big thing you need to be aware of with a hyperthyroid condition, Graves', is that you want to avoid taking iodine, because your thyroid is already producing too many thyroid hormones, and those thyroid hormones are made from iodine. The other thing you want to avoid is bile salts, because bile salts will increase the conversion from the inactive form T4 to the active form T3. But if you have a hypothyroid condition, you definitely want to take purified bile salts, and that would be ox bile or any of the bile supplements that are out there. So selenium is good for hyper and hypo. Next thing you want to do is take vitamin D3, minimally 10,000 IUs. Why? Because vitamin D can help you with your inflammation. It's one of the best natural anti-inflammatory vitamins out there. And the last thing to take is probiotics, simply because most autoimmune conditions start in the gut, because you want to start building up that weak link in your gut. All right, thanks for watching. Before you go, if you're benefiting from any of my content, I would love to hear about your success story. Please share it in the link down below.